beautiful voice you have.
Yeah.
I've heard Yvette sing a few times, but she clearly does not do it often enough because that was really beautiful. Thank you so much. And I want to begin just by thanking McLaren for hosting this morning's event. They have been doing this for many years. I'm very grateful to you, Tracy, President, I should say, as well as to you, now Chairman of the board here. So thank you, Pastor McDonald, for your leadership. But I want to thank the entire team here at McLaren for hosting this perennially year in and year out for us. And this, I also want to acknowledge some of the council people who are here. You obviously have heard from Minister Councilwoman Kathleen Lee James. I also see Councilman Mikhail Goodman in the audience. And I see the Councilwoman Melanie Rutherford as well. Have I missed any council people? I want to make sure we're acknowledging everyone who's present. All right. Well, but most of all, I want to thank all of you for coming out. We often talk about Martin Luther King Day in the way that the media and that the predominant narrative relates to it. And that predominant narrative typically, not always, but typically talks about the civil rights movement really as being focused on political rights, voting rights, employment rights. But I want to talk today about another aspect that was central to the civil rights movement, and that's economic justice. We often talk about the March on Washington. It's certainly, I think it's fair to say, the most famous speech that Martin Luther King gave. But what a lot of people don't recognize is that, although it's informally referred to as the March on Washington, the actual name of that event was the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. And people often talk about Martin Luther King focusing late in his all too short life on economic justice with the Poor People's Campaign, for example, in 1968. But really, economic justice was at the heart of the civil rights movement from its outset. That was certainly true as early as 1963 when the March on Washington occurred. I heard a sobering statistic the other day. I don't think it's particularly surprising to anyone who's been paying attention, but it's an important reminder that as much progress as has been made in terms of civil rights, political rights, voting rights, very little has been accomplished when it comes to economic justice. In 1963, when the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom occurred, the unemployment rate among Black Americans was twice the unemployment rate among white Americans. Today, the unemployment rate among Black Americans is more than twice as high as the unemployment rate among white Americans. We clearly need to do a lot more when it comes to economic empowerment and pursuing economic justice. Certainly the state and federal governments need to do a lot more if this is going to be successful and if we're really going to close the gap and promote economic equality and economic opportunity for all. But in the meantime, we here at the local level in city government recognize our responsibilities to pursue initiatives to promote economic opportunity for everybody here in the city of Pontiac. And that's why my administration, in collaboration with City Council, and I'm very grateful for the collaborative relationship we have with City Council. But that's why my administration, in collaboration with City Council, has allocated millions of dollars of ARPA dollars for workforce development, including job training, for assistance for homeowners to make needed home improvements to their homes, and also to support local small businesses and local entrepreneurs. We've also, very importantly, allocated allocated community development block grant dollars to provide 50% of the required down payment for home buyers here in Pontiac who are qualified based on their income. That money has now been allocated by City Council. We are working this year to develop the specifics of all of those programs and initiatives, so stay tuned. But we will be rolling those things out later this year, and we're very excited about that, particularly the home buyer assistance program. This is the first time that anything quite like this has been put in place in our city, and we take seriously the need to help renters transition to home ownership so that they can build equity, they can build capital, and really break intergenerational poverty. So again, thank you all so much for coming out. Many thanks again to City Council for the collaborative relationship and all of your hard work. And thank you so much to McLaren Hospital for your leadership in the community, for your investment in the community, and for your efforts to make sure that you're employing Pontiac residents and lifting up everyone here in the great city of Pontiac. Thank you all.
I don't believe Michael McGinnis is here. Okay, so we'll move to the State of Michigan representative. This is Brenda Carter.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I too want to thank McLaren Tracy for this hospital's undying support of Pontiac, as well as Pastor Douglas Jones and the Greater Pontiac Community Coalition for putting this on every single year. Can we give him a round of applause? Welcome. I woke this morning with something on my mind, and I wrote a speech that I want to share with you. It was some research that I did from a writer named Kate Brumback in Atlanta, and it was on the I Have a Dream speech. And everybody know that Dr. Martin Luther King said, I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they're not judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Yet 60 years later, after King shared his vision during his most famous speech, there seems to be a little bit of disagreement over its meaning. The quote is used to support opposing political, as you mentioned, Mayor, views, against some of it against affirmative action, some of it which this speech was meant to help people who are disadvantaged. But unfortunately, 2 of Dr. King's children didn't see it go that way. To paraphrase Martin Luther King III, he says, I don't think we can ignore race, okay? Because some people if you take race out the equation, then the system truly becomes inequitable. We cannot ignore race. Every person needs to have an opportunity to achieve in this nation. And I'm going to divert a little bit from my speech to just share a little bit of my context. Because when I walk into a room, no matter where it is, and I'm on the national and international level, the first thing they see is the color of my skin. And the next thing after that is they go to the book and say, well, this person's supposed to be like this. She's supposed to like to cook. I hate to cook. She's supposed to have a whole bunch of things that are not who I am. But 60 years later, as Bernice King, the daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King, says, we still have a lot of work to do. When we talk about our beloved community, Dr. King wanted everybody to bring their gifts, their talents, their cultural experiences to the table, Bernice said. We live in a society where we have many differences. I see my good friend Deborah Ehrman there. She speaks Spanish. I speak very poor Spanish, but I tried, okay? But we need to accept everyone This is some of the things we have up there in the legislature. And once again, when I walk into the chambers, they don't see a person that's multilingual. They don't see a person that's educated. They don't see what I am, the content of my character. The first thing they see, especially on the other side of the aisle, is the color of my skin. And unfortunately, the higher we go up the ladder, we get this tokenism thing. Well, Brenda Carter is there because we needed one of them. Okay. However, things are changing in this country. And Pastor Jones said, it's up to us, everyone in this room, black, white, young, old, to make that change happen. And we can. We can do it. We can live in a society where we are the great nation that this world feels that we are. We can do this. We can do this, yes. Bernice King said her father is asking us to get to a place. We're not there yet, you know that. But get to a place where the first thing we utilize as measurement is not someone's external designation, but try to look beyond that to see what that person really is. And then and only then we can rid ourselves of these biases and this bigotry and this prejudice that we have in this nation. It's going to be difficult. Dr. King gave us one hell of a challenge. But through the grace of God and a belief of each other, in each other, we can do this. So Martin Luther King III said he believes that his father's dream one day is going to come true. And I'm going to tell you why I believe it's true. And this is the one part where I'm very, very proud. Pastor, I'm tearing up right now. Mayor, Majority Leader, Representative Tim Grimal, you know where I'm coming from when I start this. The chair of the Energy and Communications Committee for the state of Michigan is Helena Scott from Detroit. The chair of tax policy is Cynthia Neely from Flint. The chair of families, children, and seniors for the state of Michigan is Stephanie Young. The chair of family of corrections for the entire state of Michigan is Amos O'Neill out of Saginaw. Senator Geis and Senator Santana, I'm not sure of their committees. I know one of them is the pro tem of the Senate. The pro tem, vice pro tem. The pro tem is Jeremy Moss. But the chair of appropriations for the entire state of Michigan is Sarah Anthony out of Lansing. And one person I forgot to mention before I go to the upper level, because Yaktown don't back down. The chair of all finances and insurance for the state of Michigan comes right here out of Pontiac. It's me. So everybody's been talking about, we got to have economic equity. We got to bring money to our communities. We got to have better schools. We got to support infrastructure. We got to support our churches. We got to support our community. Well, that comes from having money and understanding money. And through the grace of God, for the entire state of Michigan, he put that in my hands. Three more people I want to talk about before I give up this mic. The most powerful man in the House of Representatives is from Detroit. His name is Joe Tate. He is the Speaker of the House, and he's a black man. The most powerful man in the Senate is the first black lieutenant governor in the history of the state of Michigan, Garland Gilchrist, too. Everybody I named right now, is where they are, in my belief. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, because you know them all. Because of the content of their character. Senator Jeremy Moss, Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, and the greatest governor we've ever had in the history of the state of Michigan, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, and the entire 102nd Michigan legislature. Happy Martin Luther King Day, and God bless you, and thank you.